I wanted to first and foremost thank all of you for being here and taking the time to stay with us. This portion of the evening is very special to me because I chair the WED Fellows program. And what this looks at is we've looked at all of the, the Amazons and the Titans and all of the game changers that have done incredible work. And in my humble opinion, this is the future of our generation. And all of these women represent true change in so many different aspects of how we can create massive opportunity out of our greatest challenges that are global. And I firmly believe that women can change the world with their insight, their intuition, and their ability to tap into what is necessary for deep and true change in community and our environment. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first WED Fellow. Her name is KATHARINA VOLZ. She is a truly special human being. She finished her PhD in 2.5 years at Stanford. That's never been done in the history of Stanford. And also the first ever in stem cell biology. So you can just see the latitude, and each and every one of these people will share their stories, and you'll see how these women are true change makers in our world. And Catherine, I'm going to let you share your story and change our world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Kunal, and for inviting me to speak here at the Women Entrepreneurship Day at the United Nations today. I'm so honored to be here today, surrounded by all these powerful women who want to make the world a better place. And speaking of women who want to make the world a better place, I want to thank my mentor. She inspired me when I first came to the US. She was a woman named Uliana Susankova, and she gave me the confidence to take my own path, which has led me here today. So as Kunal mentioned, I just got my PhD in stem cell biology and regenerative medicine at Stanford 3 months ago. And I'm also the founder of the startup Occam's Razor. So today I'm not going to talk to you too much about stem cells, but what I think is one of the biggest problems of science. It needs to be changed, disrupted, and hacked, if you will. So science can do pretty amazing things. I can take your skin and turn them into stem cells that are almost identical to embryonic stem cells. I can then take these stem cells and turn them into firing neurons or into beating heart cells. And during my PhD, I discovered the cell type that is forming the coronary arteries and the signal that is required for this differentiation event. So while these are all exciting advancements in science, science is moving way slower than it could. Like in this room, we are not short of smart people. In science, we are short of efficient systems. And while these systems are complex, there has been one problem that I've continuously seen as a researcher for over a decade. If we were to succeed in addressing this problem, we could exponentially accelerate the speed of scientific discovery. It is simply too difficult and time-intensive for scientists to find reliable and relevant research. There's so much information, way too much information for an individual scientist to evaluate. And what is worse is that more than 75% of the data published is not reproducible. Yes, you heard right. More than 3/4 of all the information published in the biomedical sciences will never have their results reproduced. That means that we scientists are building onto wrong results every single day. I myself have built onto wrong results and have lost over half a year of my time in the lab. So not knowing what information is reliable really hinders our ability to solve pressing issues in science, like curing cancer or finding alternative energy sources. So there are many reasons why data might not be reliable, such as human error, problems with reagents. Sometimes scientists cherry-pick data, and sometimes even worse, scientists may even fake data. But regardless of the causes, fact is that there's currently no effective way to determining what is reliable information. And there are various factors that people think make a good paper. For instance, if it is published in a peer-reviewed journal, if it's published in a high-impact journal, or if it has a lot of citations. However, these factors alone don't ensure that a paper is reliable. So what do we actually do to determine the quality of a publication? I'm telling you, this is a real struggle, a struggle I've experienced while working in 10 labs around the world. You can take a paper and you can evaluate it and can see if you trust the data, if they make the right conclusions based on the experimental evidence provided. But this takes a very long time. I cannot do that for every relevant paper coming out every day. So I can alternatively reach out to my lab mates, to my colleagues, to my collaborators and professors, and see if they have already investigated a paper. However, I can't reach out to every single person every single day about every single paper that is relevant to me. Consequently, I may miss out on some important knowledge they have about the paper, and may even miss out that they have built onto the same wrong results I'm building on right now. So I really wish I would have lived in a world where knowledge around publications would have been easier shared without me needing to reach out to every single person all the time. So my goal with Occam's Razor, with my startup, is to help scientists navigate through this massive amount of literature and leveraging their individual network and later on the entire scientific community. If we can fix or hack or even slightly improve the pipeline of science where everything is built upon, this is, I believe, the biggest impact I can ever make, helping all scientists get to their discovery faster. So in case you can't tell, hacking life is what I'm the most passionate about. We will and can hack the problems of life and science. So in closing, I would just like to say, hack life, ladies.
All right, next, and we have to keep it short.
Hi, my name is Nisha Kare. Storytelling resonates with humans. It has since cave people sat around campfires. In fact, it was storytelling that gave us advantages over other species to survive. Our company that my husband and I started, we specialize in storytelling and legacy, and we work with some of the most amazing thought leaders in the world. We look at how societal communication patterns step up interpersonally. Now, as you know, most of the world's information can be accessed online. Millennials are right into that. Now, our organization harnesses the power of media and social media for connecting a subject with their audience through video interviews. From our work, we have seen evidence that people are moving away from traditional roles and the models experienced from their families of origin. A chasm has formed because they don't know what they are supposed to do instead. What we are learning and what we've seen is that a life focused only on success and career, in the end, leaves us flat and sad. So we as a society have to give this social phenomenon a revived attention, energy, and love. So what we've learned, like what we see, what people are craving, and what we find they're deeply yearning for, it's communication and connection. So by interviewing couples with a shared vision, we validate that there is power in partnership. Now, let me tell you, as women, we can do it all. We're brilliant, we're strong. But now imagine one, take you, times two. Imagine that power. And I actually would rather see it times four because I'd love for my kids to get involved in the business. But it's a little, you know, they're 3 and 1, so I'll see what I can do with them at this point, but I'm handing them cameras as often as I can. But what I'm passionate about is showcasing models for women of the future by interviewing trailblazing couples in the present to create a living historical record, sharing the dynamics between and the stories behind married thought leaders and thought leaders in partnerships. Elevating women begins with a partnership at home by combining the most precious aspects of life, work and family, to build something together. So I have a background in media, but I'm also a clinical counselor. So my thoughts are, if communication and connection is what people crave, it must be integrated into our daily lives. We will keep falling apart unless we spend time looking towards each other. Storytelling and sharing legacy through media is the answer. No time in history has offered us as much of an opportunity to share our stories and stay connected to the people and places and events that have the most meaning for us in our lives. My vision to change the world is for people in partnerships to communicate between family life and work life to create a connected life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anisha, what you said spoke to me. I truly believe that women won't be equal in the workplace until we're equal in the home front, so thanks. I am ANJOU AHLBORN K. I am worlds combining. I am from an Indian mother and a German father and American. I was born in the Midwest and grew up in California and left my heart in San Francisco. I've worked in Silicon Valley in high tech and IT for 15 years. I was at EMC, I was the youngest in my position globally. And now at FusionStorm in the IT world, I'm at the top of my field. I own a small business, Bamboo Asia, that I started 4 years ago. It's a chain of health-conscious, fast casual restaurants. I'm also now the founder of a security startup, Valida, in the authentication space. I produce an event called Mr. and Ms. Silicon Valley. We're in our 4th year. It's a pitch competition where entrepreneurs come together and pitch in front of esteemed venture capitalists and get crowned Mr. and Ms. Silicon Valley. The winners have gone on to get an unprecedented $1 million from Shark Tank, have gone on to win Richard Branson's Extreme Tech Challenge, and been accepted into Y Combinator. I'm a founder and leader of Hack Cancer. It's a social organization to do good. Through all these opposites coming together, there's certain themes that have prevailed to help me. Leadership begins with me. 2, it takes a village, so build your tribe. 3, be part of something bigger than yourself. Think big. If not you, who? I'm inspired by my parents who are physicians. They met in med school. My mom went to college, med school combined. They had me as teenagers. But they became on to become pioneers in hospice and critical care for AIDS and cancer patients. I recall as a child my mom seeking out the homeless in our neighborhood to treat them. I recall my dad, his office manager get mad at him, he would trade good grades from students in exchange for medical care. So this led me to study microbiology and be one of the youngest hospice volunteers working with patients at the end of life. Despite this love of science and medicine, my passions led me to a career in tech and business. To honor my parents, my father passed away very young at the age of 42. I tried to keep up their mantras, such as, ANJOU, give outside of yourself. So I and an amazing team founded Hack Cancer in 2013. Hack Cancer is an organization that raises some serious funds and awareness for cancer charities like LLS, Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and Make-A-Wish. I started this at a time when young professionals and Silicon Valley were looking to show an avenue to say, hey, tech can do good and tech can give back. Now we have members globally, an incredible network of venture capitalists, entrepreneurs, and young people doing good. Leukemia Lymphoma Society was founded over 50 years ago, something I'm so passionate about. They were founded by parents who lost their child to blood cancer. Then the survival rate was less than 3%. Today, it's over 80%. Yet all of us are still affected by cancer, everyone in this room. People are still being diagnosed every day, and people are still dying. Cancer can end in our lifetime. That someday is today. By merging mine and ours philanthropic and entrepreneurial spirits, together we can hack cancer. I urge all you women not to look elsewhere for leadership. Be your own advocate. Bring your passion and skills to give back, be part of the community, and make a difference. Women are such an important part of the home and the family and the community and the world. I guarantee you, like me, you will get so much more in return than you can ever give. Women, your entrepreneurial success is dependent on you harnessing your power to lead, build your team, and impact change. Namaste.
And on to our next Red Fellow.
I am Zephany, and I am on a mission to inspire women from all walks of life to shake up and disrupt all sorts of organizations, especially the institutions that are woven within the fabric of our society through social entrepreneurship. That is the driving force behind the Entrepreneurship Initiative. The entrepreneurial spirit is what allows us to embrace the creative thinking and results-oriented tenacity indicative of entrepreneurs by doing it within the constructs of pre-existing organizations, the ones that we often overlook as opportunities for entrepreneurial design and collaboration and innovation. I was an entrepreneur as a young member of the NAACP's National Board of Directors, seeking to transform civil rights nationally, not only through traditional strategies, but with the power of technology to transform training and the power of social media to create positive social change. The impetus behind my community-based passion projects today is creating opportunities for uncommon partnerships and developing generations of entrepreneurial thinking leaders who are valued to civic engagement and public service. Speaking of public service, during my time as a legislative staffer at the federal and now state levels, I am so inspired by efforts to strengthen democracy by opening governance and creating opportunities for cross-sector partnerships. In California, for example, we're tuned in to what's happening around the nation, and we have policymakers who are challenging the status quo through bold initiatives, such as efforts to create entrepreneur in residence programs and building neighborhood community iHubs to support small businesses, and taking legislative action to institutionalize expanded definitions of diversity that include gender and orientation indicators so that we can hold our boards and commissions accountable to electing and appointing more women. These are great first steps to disrupting the common notions of entrepreneurship and innovating the ideas of innovation to make space for sustainable growth and development within organizations. Being a social entrepreneur allows women to transform complex systems from the inside out and to create opportunities to manage strategic partnerships with governments and within social organizations and entities that are often stifled by a lack of innovation. Entrepreneurship creates a space for new types of equity. It's where innovation meets implementation to achieve the greater good. This is what came out of the discussions this past September following the International Chamber of Commerce's Business Forum during the world premiere of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'd like to invite you to join our community of innovators within and beyond the United Nations and other systems, of investors, of social entrepreneurs, in a conversation about how we transform complex organizations from within. In order to achieve the changes that we truly wish to see in the world and to be effective, out-of-the-box thinking has to connect with those who are operating within a broken system. And I challenge you today, women, to join me in transforming society from the inside out by connecting your companies not only to causes, but to the constructs that power our national institutions. That is what allows us to have real-time access to your talent, to your resources, and to your ideas. So please certainly come find me if you're interested in learning more about what being a entrepreneur can look like in your world. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Awanan, and I'm not going to talk about how I helped launch the TV network. I'm going to talk about how last year my best friend Erica died at the age of 25 from a 5-year journey with breast cancer. And by best friend, she and I were born 2 days apart. She was misdiagnosed 3 times, told she was too young to have cancer. She tracked her symptoms. She had sharp pain in her breast that lasted for 10 to 12 seconds, 3 to 4 times a day, and really had to fight to see an oncologist who finally diagnosed her with stage 3 breast cancer. I firmly believe that she wasn't heard, and had she been heard, she could have been diagnosed sooner. And so that's what I do. I work with Global Healthy Living Foundation, and we listen to patients. We advocate for, we don't. We help patients advocate on behalf of themselves on the state and federal level. And my first project is in the chronic illness space still, in arthritis. We We launched an app earlier this year called Arthritis Power. It's the first patient-led, patient-generated research registry. It's led by a group of patient governors who identify research needs as well as prioritize patient research requests from a larger community of 80,000 members. And the benefits are peer-to-peer support and understanding, and also data collection. We enable patients to track their symptoms over time so that they can bring them to their doctor's appointments, and that creates meaningful dialogue between a patient and provider. And it's really putting the power back into patients' hands, the power that my friend Erica didn't have. So thank you.
And our next speaker, our next fellow.
So, if you were given 2 minutes, a captive audience, I hope you're captive. Are you all paying attention? And the request to pitch an idea that could change the world, what would you say? See, the thing is I've been here all day, and I've been inspired by the speakers that I've heard and by some of the connections that I've made with you. And I don't think there's much that I could say that would surprise you or that would impact you all of that much. Lean in, innovate, fail fast, disrupt, be bold. We've all heard it before. We heard it today, and we've heard it before. So, but the one thing I have noticed is there's been a theme. There's been a theme about mentorship and the value of having a positive role model in our lives. And we've addressed this, just touched on it here and there. So my impact today is going to be having most, or hopefully all of you, commit by the end of my 2 minutes to being a good role model and a positive mentor, an active positive mentor. So, I only have 2 minutes. Stop clapping. I only have 2 minutes. I'm Dr. TAMARA ETMANNSKI. I'm an engineer, I'm an educator, and I'm an entrepreneur. And in my life, I haven't had enough strong and passionate women in my journey to ask advice to and to ask guidance to. And we've heard that echo today. There's not enough role models in STEM, tech, politics, athletics, in the boardroom, and in entrepreneurship. So if everybody in this room made a commitment, a real commitment, to being a positive role model and to being an active mentor, somebody who's actually involved with women that are following in your footsteps, in your industry, in your specialization, and then emphasize to your mentees the importance of mentorship, we collectively could create an intergenerational chain of mentorship and positive support that could actually work towards impacting gender parity in our respective industries. So, I commit to being an active mentor and an active mentor and a positive role model. Stand with me if you do too. Thank you.
You can all sit down now. Thank you.
I'm not done. Thank you. Let's
okay.
change the world together.
All right, and our next fellow.
I'm going to talk to you today about how to regenerate the human heart. My name is Dr. Hina Chaudhry. I'm a cardiologist, currently still full-time associate professor of medicine at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, where I direct the cardiovascular regenerative medicine program. I'm also a developmental geneticist, and I did my postdoctoral training in developmental biology and genetics at Columbia University, where I then held the title Irving Assistant Professor of Medicine prior to being recruited to Mount Sinai School of Medicine. I'm now more recently an entrepreneur, having founded a biotech company by the name of Venture Nova. And I want to tell you, heart disease, as you probably know, is still the greatest killer in the industrialized world. My personal experience began at the age of 7, where I witnessed my father having a heart attack on our driveway. That really, really had an effect on me, and I told my parents shortly after that I was going to grow up and make sure that morbidity and mortality from this disease is dramatically reduced, if not eradicated. So what is the problem with heart disease? Why do we have such a vast, huge mortality and morbidity? I'll tell you, it's just really simple. Your heart can't regenerate itself because the cells in the heart can't divide after you're born. They're dividing prolifically when you're a baby. But when you exit the womb, the cell division machinery shuts off. You know that if you cut your skin 2 weeks later, you're not going to know you cut it because the cells surrounding the injury zone are able to divide and repopulate the injury zone. Now, this is what for years the NIH has gotten wrong. Do you realize they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on clinical trials of stem cell transplantation? None of it has worked. So during my postdoctoral training days at Columbia, I looked at this situation very simply. The heart can't regenerate because the heart cells can't divide. If you look at lower organisms below us on the evolutionary tree, for instance, newts, zebrafish, salamanders, they can regenerate their heart because their cells can enter the cell division cycle and regenerate. So I just basically switched on those genes that are making your cells divide as an embryo and switched them off after a heart attack in multiple animal models, mice, then rats, then pigs, now humans. And guess what? The cells are dividing beautifully after a heart attack, and they know how to align themselves. They know how to couple electrically with the neighboring cells, which is something that all these scientists that were funded to do stem cell transplantation into the heart by the NIH couldn't figure out. So we published our results in large animals in Science Translational Medicine last year. I had raised seed financing through Broadview Ventures, whose scientific advisory board is headed by none other than Dr. Eugene Braunwald. Many of you may know he's the most legendary doctor to walk the planet Earth over the last 100 years. So I was very lucky. I got Dr. Braunwald's attention. They made a seed investment in Ventranova, and now Ventranova is looking at hopefully closing a deal for a Series A investment to launch human clinical trials to test my gene therapy, where we will be inserting the gene that is the master regulator switch of cardiomyocyte mitosis into human hearts after a heart attack and making them grow. So we hope to have a market product 5 years from the time of funding, and we hope to dramatically reduce heart disease. Not only that, my laboratory recently has discovered molecules that turn your gene, your native gene, that cyclin A2 that drives mitosis, off. Now we know how to regulate the endogenous process. And not only that, we found that it's linked to the brain, and the same molecules cause cell proliferation and turn it off in the brain. And so now we're going after brain regeneration.
Thank you. Thank you. And now my brave last one, Natasha.
Good afternoon. Wow, wow. It's a privilege to be here today at the United Nations amongst such inspiring minds and activators. My name is Natasha Tsakos. I am the founder and chief imagination officer of NTID, and that tells you absolutely nothing. But what I do is I create live theatrical multimedia productions. And I exist at the intersection of theater and technology. I'm passionate about both worlds and how the two will and are coming together. And today I would love for you to fall in love with theater as deeply as I fell in love with it. Because theater is a passport to all what-ifs. It's a voyage into the archives of the human imagination. It's a convergent concert for all art forms and disciplines to explore and express original, unique, provocative ideas in entertaining ways. And with the advent of immersive realities, the interconnectedness of everything, the fluidity of information, the highest degree of resolution, theater is about to affect everything and be everywhere. The world is a dynamic, intelligent, connected, predictive, reactive stage. I believe the second chapter of this century will be led by the creatives, the artists, the nonconformists, the marginalized, the artful entrepreneur, those who can reimagine the world over and over and over again, those who can breathe life and humanize technology, invent original things and extrapolate solutions in innovative ways. Today we celebrate women and entrepreneurship, which knows no borders, no race, no age, and no gender. It's universal. It's a visionary attitude towards innovative and positive change. And that is what theater making is to me. So, thank you, Wendy Diamond. I can't see you, but thank you very much. Thank you, Kunal Sood, for the unique opportunity and the grand honor. And thank you. And thank all of you in this room and out there for being an artist of change. Thank you.